Good evening, everyone. Welcome to November Mooncraft 2020. I apologize for the lateness of this video, but things have been really hectic this month, as they have been for a lot of people, but I still wanted to push through with this story. So coming up on November 30th, we have a lunar eclipse. On 12/21, in December, we have a planetary alignment with Jupiter and Saturn. We are just barely coming out of the point where the Pleiades were their most visible in the night sky. And I want to share with you one of the stories about our connection to the stars. And as you'll also see, we have a special celebrity guest star in the house. Cher is joining us today. She'll just be chilling back there in the corner over my shoulder. But so, the story goes that there are two women who are out walking in the night sky one summer's evening. And it's a beautiful night. The stars seem to hang just right above you. And they're talking as young girls do. And one of the young women looks at the other and she says, "You know, that star is so beautiful. I would marry that star." And the other girl says, "Well, I think that star is beautiful. And I would marry that star." And they sit out on the hillside for a long time and they're just looking at the stars. They're taking in that beauty. And as the morning begins to approach, they decide to head back into camp. And as they're walking down the trail back into that camp, they are approached by two men they do not know, they've never seen before. And they are curious, who are these people? And the two men approach them and they say, "We heard you. We heard you say you would marry us. And we have come to take you with us back into the stars." And the women go with them. And they're living up there in the Star Nation. And everything is provided for them. They have everything they could need. They have just one rule. They are told not to pick the Timsila. Timsila is a wild turnip that grows on the prairie during the month of June, and it is very delicious. It is usually stored with the stalk still on the turnip, and it is braided into a rope-like fashion. And one day, one of these girls is walking around up there, and she thinks, "Oh, how I miss the taste of Timsila. They won't miss just one. They're not going to miss just one." So she picks the Timsila, and it opens up a hole. And she looks down in that hole, and she sees her grandma. She sees her cousins. She sees her family. And she becomes very, very lonely. And she says, "I want to go see Grandma. I want to go see my family. I want to go home." So she starts picking all the Timsila. She's picking it and she's picking it and she's braiding it into this rope. And she begins to climb down to go home. And before she reaches the ground, that Timsila rope, it breaks. And the young woman falls to her death. But with that last breath, she is pregnant and she manages to give birth to that baby. And then she dies. The animal nation comes forth. Wolf speaks. He says, "This is a very special child. This is a child created between the stars and the humans. And we must ensure that he survives. Magpie, meadowlark, you speak the Lakota language. You will be our interpreters." And so they raised the boy. And after a time, the boy began traveling the countrysides. And he was visiting different villages, and he was helping people. He became something of a cultural hero. And one day in the Black Hills, he comes across a village that is filled with much sadness. All the people are very upset. They're crying. They're hurt. They're obviously in pain. And he goes to them, and he says, "What is wrong? What can I do?" And one of the elders speaks. He says, "There is a big, ugly red bird that comes down and is stealing our little girls. And it flies them back up into the mountains and devours them." Starboy says, "I will help these people." And he goes into the mountain and he kills that ugly red bird. And he comes back down to the people and he tells them, "I have killed this bird," and the people begin to rejoice. But then there is still that air of sadness because they've lost these little girls. And Starboy says to them, "I cannot bring back the physical bodies of your little girls, but I can hang a reminder of them in the stars so that you will always remember to care for your children. And thus the Pleiades was created. We call it Wachichula Shako, the 7 little girls. And that star system is there as a reminder to honor, love, and protect our children. The other thing I would like to share with you today is a type of prayer. It's a method of prayer that we use. We do this during Sundance. We do this during Vision Quest. We do this just to carry around with us as talismans. This is a very powerful, basically physical talisman of a way to pray. So I'm just going to light my sage there. I mean, there's so much lore about prayer ties I could go on for days, but I just want to keep this real simple. It was requested by my mother, actually, that I would share this method with the people. So what you're going to do, I've got 4 of them here, and I won't tie all of them. You just take a little square cloth. I use red. Red is traditional color. We're in a pandemic. I get it. Maybe you don't have red cloth. Maybe you've got an old blue t-shirt or an old gray towel that you can use. You know, the point is so much right now not to be as traditional. I mean, of course, I would prefer that you do it as traditional as possible, but that's not what's important right now. What's important is that we are praying and that we are standing strong in our spiritual selves. So you take this red cloth and you take a string. This is hemp. I usually use cotton, but, you know, more natural the better. First thing you're going to do is you're going to pass everything through your sage smoke and just kind of let that cleanse itself. Pass my cloth through there. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your rope and you're going to just form a circle. Just literally just flip it around and make a little circle. And then a little smaller. And you take the long end of your string and push it back through that circle. Let go of where you're holding your circle and just hold on to the tail and the longer side and pull. That creates a slip knot. So you can just take that long side again and you can just pull and it stays knotted. Then you're going to take your tobacco. And I know not everybody is smokers. I know not everybody has access to tobacco. So, in the sake of doing this, you know, in the sake of being included in this, find something that you prefer to use. If you don't have tobacco, maybe you want to use basil because you want to call in that sun energy and that light energy. Maybe you want to use lavender because things have been really hectic right now and you want to calm the situation. You want it to be more relaxed. So just find something that works for you. And then you're going to take your cloth. You're going to smudge your tobacco. You're going to lay a little tiny bit of that down in that cloth. And you're just going to pinch the 4 corners of that cloth together to form a little tiny bundle. Then you just slide that bundle in that slip knot, hold on to the small end of your tail, and pull on the long one. And that will make a nice, secure little bundle that is all tied in there. Now, when you're doing this, if the rope breaks, start over. If the bundle, after you've tied it, falls out, do not retie that bundle. That bundle, when it falls out, is considered the Spirit has heard those prayers and an answer has been received. So don't retie a bundle if it falls out. But if that rope breaks, you need to start over because it needs to be one long continuous chain. Like I said, I'm going to do 4, and then I'm going to keep these by my door. This is kind of like a protection. You can carry them with you. You can put them in your purse. Whatever you need to do, however you feel called. And just remember that while you're doing this, you're praying. Obviously, it's very hard for me to pray and teach this at the same time. So I would just like to leave you all with a quick closing prayer. Wankantanka Tankashala, Creator, Mother, Father, Great Spirit. I humbly come before you today and I ask you to walk with those of us who are suffering. To walk with those of us who are really struggling right now with being disconnected from our families, from our children, from our elders. I ask that you take care of them and lift them up and give them the strength to continue on. I say a special prayer, Grandfather, for our children and that new generation that comes up. They are our future. And I ask, Grandfather, that you protect them, that you keep them safe from harm, that you protect them and help them to be raised in a good, loving way. Grandfather, I pray that everyone who's watching this video sees that divine light of you within each of them, and that they know that they are spirit beings full of love and beauty and light. Aho, Matakuyoyasan. Thank you, everyone.